Hello everyone. In today's video, we're going to be speaking about the Pilot Petit 1 or Petit 1, depending on whether or not you like the French pronunciation. It's a fairly cheap pen, at least here in Singapore, and I think the prices translate across to the US currency as well. So it's about $3, 3 Singapore dollars here. And I believe in the US it's about $3 US. So I bought these pens when I started the fountain pen hobby roughly 1.5 years ago. I thought they were cute. They are cute. And I used them for a while. However, I haven't actually touched these pens anymore ever since I went up the price chain in fountain pens. But I decided to review these because I haven't done so yet, and I'll probably compare it with other alternatives you might have at this particular price range, which essentially it's very simple. There aren't any competitors in this price range. If you want a fountain pen that costs about that $3 mark, $3 US or 3 Singapore dollar mark, you pretty much have this. And if you want to go cheaper, you can get the Pilot. I believe it's called the V Master, and that's it. If you wanted to pay slightly more, about the $4 to $5, $6 mark, you could get the Preppy, and we'll come back to the Preppy later on. But essentially, this pen is on its own, price-wise and market-wise, right? So let's look at the pen. Essentially, if you look at the actual design of the pen, it's pretty short, about 4 inches when posted. When you post the pen, which you pretty much have to if you want to use this pen for any length of time, it gets to about 5 inches or about 13.1 centimeters long. And when you do so, it's very, very comfortable. So looking at the parts of the pen, you have the cap, which has anti-ink drying mechanism down here. Not as sophisticated as the one on the Platinum that even has a spring on it, but I think it does the job. I've actually left this pen in my drawer for kind of a year, more than a year, and it writes, out of the box without having to kind of without any hard starting at all. So looking down at the clip, I think this is where a lot of people would say that even though it's very nice, nicely designed, it looks nice, it's probably not the most practical clip out there. For one, this end is pretty flimsy, and it doesn't, you can hear that it doesn't really kind of secure tightly to the base. I've tried actually securing this onto my shirt, and it doesn't really grip well, right? I'm not a big cap person, but if you are, you probably would not be very satisfied with this cap. That being said, let's look at the rest of the body. Not really much there. You have a tapered body all the way to the end of the body, and there's no hole in here. So theoretically, you could eyedropper this pen. However, I do not advise it. I've tried it before, where I've actually eyedropped it and filled up this whole body with ink. I've slathered like silicone grease all over this area right there, and it does work, but I would not feel secure at all doing it. It's because of the way that Pilot actually does their threading here. So these are square threads, or people call them block threads sometimes. And for the Preppy, you notice that the threads are traditional sharp threads. So I think the Preppy can be eyedroppered, and I've done so with no feeling of ink splattering all over my pocket, I don't think it's a good idea for the Petite one, right? You can try it, but I wouldn't recommend it. The Petite one comes with a tiny cartridge. Now I've tried inserting one of these big, the normal size cartridge into the Petite one. It will not fit at all because, as you can see, it will not fit. It's a big shame because these cartridges, you can buy them anywhere, and you can actually put a few of them in your pencil case when traveling, and then you could have a very, you wouldn't have any fear of running out of ink. But with this Petite one converter being so small and proprietary, one option is that you can actually get their refills, and these come in a very, very cute tree converter in a pack. In Singapore, it's really, really cheap. Three of these in a pack, and I'll put a picture up on the screen for like $1.50. And that probably might solve the problem of running out of ink when traveling with these pens. And going up the pen, looking at the section, this is where Pilot kind of shines, right? I've never had a Pilot pen that has a bad section. This is definitely not a bad section. It has a section diameter or girth of about 10.8 millimeters, and it's very, very comfortable for long writing, especially when you post it. So when you post a pen, it is pretty balanced, as you can tell, right in the middle of the pen, at about 13.1 centimeters, or about slightly over 5 inches. It is very, very, it's like the optimal size for me. And then we come to the nib of the Pilot Petite. It's not like the normal nib that you would get in the Kakuno or even the Metropolitan, as you can see down here. I would say it doesn't have a breather hole for one, and the feed is actually a little bit different as well. This is where I think the Petite ones kind of starts to kind of fall and show its $3 price tag, right? The nib, although it's okay, right? You do feel a little bit of scratchiness on certain types of paper. It will work fine with very smooth paper, but depending on the paper you use, you might feel a slight scratchiness. So I'm going to do a little bit of writing, and as usual, I have to raise my table. And even though this pen is small, it does write very, very well, right? Shame about this pen, it only comes in fine. If this pen actually came in extra fine, or if, depending on your taste, if it comes in other nib choices, it will probably be a better option. So as you can see, it writes beautifully. Like I mentioned, slight scratchiness depending on the angle in which you use. There's pretty good ink flow. Probably too good because these cartridges don't last long, right? But generally, nothing that cannot be tuned out. If you know how to tune the pens, like using the micro mesh that I showed you, or any other method of tuning, you probably can tune these pens to what you need. So that was the Pilot Petit 1. The reason for the 1 is because the Pilot Petit pens actually come in the Petit 2 and the Petit 3. The Petit 2 is like a signing pen, and the Petit 3 is like a brush. So what are my closing thoughts? I am not sure what was Pilot's thinking for this pen when they produced the Petite or the Petite 1. It's not quite a very practical beginner's pen. The nib is good, and the feeling of, however, it's going against a pretty stiff opposition in the Preppy. And to be very honest, I way prefer the Preppy compared to the Petite. If not for the size and the kind of the design of this being a little bit different, this being a pocket pen. I know these are two different size pens, but I believe that they were marketed, or they were thought of by the individual companies marketing to be beginner pens. And I think the Preppy, with its choice of nibs, especially the 02, is to me my preferred choice. The other option that you might want to do is, move up the Pilot line to the Kakuno, and that actually has a very, very good extra fine nib, or even a fine nib, much superior to this Petite's nib. However, this pen is, like maybe 3 times more expensive, but that's an option. And coming to the form factor of the Petite, which is, it is a pocket pen. It's really small. And the closest pen that I have to compare it to would be the Kaweco Sport. It's literally like this kind of the similar size, right? So even for the Kaweco Sport, if I were to post both of these pens, you can tell that they both have pretty similar dimensions, right? However, if you ask me, the Kaweco Sport it feels more like a pocket pen. It's more expensive, definitely. It's literally like nearly 10 times more expensive. I still prefer the Kaweco Sport as a pocket pen because of, the way it looks. Definitely, it's a little bit more stylish. It's a little bit more like, something that you would fit on the side of a traveler's notebook, that kind of thing. The Petite can be used for that purpose, but it just looks a bit childish, and it looks a little bit throwaway. And that kind of sums up my thoughts for the Petite 1, essentially. Would I get the Petite 1 again if I was starting off in the hobby? Definitely no. I would suggest stepping up to those choices which I mentioned in the video, and that's kind of how I will end it. So thanks for watching today. Hope this video was useful, and I will see you in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.